Okay, welcome back. Solo roll Mangging. Tales of Argosa. And, just stuff, really. I mean, Lost City of Barakus eventually, hopefully. But we had a TPK last time, and that ended our fun. We were on the road to level 2 pretty quickly. But, yeah, no magic weapons sort of bit us in the ass on that module. So, we're going to roll, we got 2 more characters, and we're going to roll on into another module to try to get to level 2 so we can actually get to the Lost City of Barakus. Someday. I apologize if you've been watching these videos, clenching your fists like, this is supposed to be about Barakus. And he pronounces it Barakus because he doesn't want to say Barakus. Anyways, so last time we rolled up Bruce, the Paladin. He's looking pretty good. Yeah, he's got 20 hit points, 14 AC, 18 Constitution, 15 Charisma, 14 Strength. He's pretty solid. He's got, he can turn undead. He has an aura of Sanctuary. Not a bad character at all. Then we rolled up a character named Melanie as a Scion, and I was really not too pleased with her. I thought she would kind of, drag things down a bit. So I said I was going to roll up another character and just, roll it up. And if it was better, I'd go with that one. So I did, and I named her Bellany. It's Melanie's sister. And she tells Melanie to just stay at home, because she's got this. She's a boss bitch. She's got 7 charisma. Nobody really likes her, but everyone likes Bruce, so they put up with her. I went with a ranger. We've not had a ranger yet. Oh, yeah, her background. I think it was a hangman. Yeah, she was a hang woman. So she actually has a leadership skill, but I don't know why that's the skill associated with hangman. Of all the things? I don't know. But it ended up kind of working out. I think she's a fairly good character. She's got 16 perception and 16 dexterity. So she's going to sort of double as, like, range DPS. She also has an animal companion, which we'll get to. And she has the traps and locks skill and stealth. So she can also pretty much function as our rogue, which is pretty nice. The only thing we don't have is thieves' tools. And I don't think we can afford it because Bruce came in with 2 gold and she came in with no gold. So we're going to have to work up to getting thieves' tools, but that'll be a priority 1, I suppose. Well, better armor for Bruce as well. So, yeah, so she's going to be doing longbow shit in the back. She has sharpshooter as one of her ranger craft. So if she hits, she can use that to roll a perception check, and if she succeeds, which is quite likely, she does an auto crit for 7 damage. Which is pretty good. I mean, it's like, hey, I guarantee to kill you. There's no... Actually, it would be 9 damage. Sorry. You add your perception mod to your damage. So yeah, guaranteed 9 damage is pretty good. She also has Beast Companion. And, I don't know. I think these were just examples. Yeah, there are 3 examples. So it can be any animal that you can think of, as long as it's up to moderate size. So like all the wide variety of animals. I guess it doesn't even have to be an animal, really. It just has to be it has to be a beast. But a snake, is a snake part of the animal kingdom? It must be, right? Is that a stupid question? Snakes? Animalia, yeah. Okay. So anything, I guess. Well, it depends on how you want to determine what a beast is. I mean, that's sort of vague, right? It's a movie starring Idris Elba that I watched a few years ago. A four-footed mammal? Well, we already can rule out that definition. An animal that is not a human being? That could be. It all seems to point towards animal, so it has to be in the animal kingdom. So no spiders, I guess. No insects, nothing like that. I suppose the sky's the limit. Or, I guess, to be sensible, anything in the animal category. Except, doesn't that include... No, it doesn't include spiders. So you could have a tiger, you could have snakes, you could have... I don't know if you could have a rhino. That's not really moderate size, I don't think. Your DM would have to be pretty nice to you. But I guess maybe you could have like a dwarf rhino, like a mini rhino. Or maybe a pony. A boar, you could have a boar. Maybe a bear. It's hard to say, hard to adjudicate if you don't go with just the examples, which are really clear cut. So the examples are a wolf, a viper, and an owl. I decided to go with viper. I think it kind of fits her personality a little bit. And it's small. It could sneak around into places. And it says that you share a special bond and communicate using sounds, touch, hand gestures, body language, etc. I would say then, at the very least, I could tell the viper, like, point in a direction. It could go in that direction with, like, an understanding between us that it's to look to see if there's anything living or anything moving or any creatures, anything that seems like it might be a threat. And then it can come back and just, like, nod its head or shake its head. I think I have trained my viper to do that, if nothing else. But again, it's up to the DM. It does say it has one skill. Oh, it does say it's an especially smart, brave, and loyal beast, which under your handling is uniquely suited to the rigors of adventuring. And it has one skill that's reasonably applicable to an animal, which will go with stealth. It has 12 AC plus my perception mod, so 14 AC, which is pretty solid. Has 1d6 HP. There's a typo here where it says HD of 1d6, which would be absurd. So it starts with max hit points and gets plus 2 hit points per ranger level, so my snake has 8. Its bite attack, which it attacks with plus 1, does 1d3 damage plus poison. So you have to roll luck con or take an extra 1d8 damage, which I felt was pretty powerful. And if they roll a natural 19, the poison is 3d6 damage. They can also climb, and they can climb trees and squeeze into small spaces, and they detect body heat up to close range. So that helps a lot with it being a scout. I felt the Viper was really solid. I could maybe see Wolf, especially if you are also in melee yourself. And I could probably see Owl as well if you're going to be doing more of an open kind of hex crawl thing. That is going to be an amazing scout for outdoors. It has advantage on sight-based perception, and it sees with minimal light. And it can fly, obviously. So yeah, Viper. That'll be pretty good. I don't know what happens if it dies. Oh, I do know what happens. I should always read before I speak. If your companion dies, you may gain another during downtime. That's pretty good. You just train it right back up. You find a snake, and you're like, you're mine now. This is what you must do. So we rolled our template. We got Scout, and well, actually, I got one higher than that, but I went with Scout because it gets a nice longbow. And we got Sharpshooter and Slip Away, which gives you Skirmisher until the end of your next turn, which allows you to get disadvantage on any ops. All right. So she should be all right, I think. Bruce will be tanking it up, soaking up all the pain. and she'll be sitting in the back, plinking away with a longbow. Precise shot, probably a strong contender for her unique feature level 3, but that depends. I mean, there might be ranged enemies, and we don't have to worry. What did I say she was? Oh, a hangman. The only problem is she has 12 strength, and she's carrying a lot of shit. She has scale armor, which is plus 3 AC, so that's taking up 3 slots. And she came with a good bit of gear. I actually had to give Bruce the iron spike she got. But Bruce has a decent amount of slots left. He's got 5 slots until he gets bigger armor. I'd say depending maybe on this an animal companion, possibly you could have it hold some stuff for you, but that would be up to your DM, I'm sure. Right. So this is what we're gonna go with and see how it goes. Neither's perfect, but it's tough. It's tough with 2 characters. You're really limited. You can't have a big breadth of options. At level 3, you know, when you can start maybe multi-classing, that opens it up a little bit. But yeah, we'll see. Let's talk about our adventure then. I spent like another hour and a half going over Drive-Thru RPG. It's subreddits, blogs, just looking at more modules and stuff like that. And yeah, I spent too much more money on a bunch of different shit. Not all of which was modules. And yeah, I bounced around a lot. I had like 10 options that I was looking at of something I could run here. I don't know. I was just really indecisive. I don't know why. I think it's a big factor of I want to get to Lost City of Barakus, so I don't want to do anything too long. I didn't want to do anything too short that wasn't going to level me up. Yeah, I was just bouncing around between a lot of ideas. I mean, a lot of stuff is a bit long. And this probably is going to be a bit long. I don't know. It's really hard to say. Page count is the best metric I have without reading through it all and guessing. So I don't know. I could have gone with a lot of different stuff. I decided to go with Tomb of the Serpent Kings. I've already done this in the past. Maybe twice. I don't know. I know I did it. I tried it once with 13th Age, but it really is not a good fit for 13th Age, so that was a weird idea. But Tomb of the Serpent Kings is often talked about, sometimes recommended, I guess also often recommended as like an introduction for players to the OSR and the OSR style of play. It's notably not really recommended much for new DMs, although it is sometimes recommended for new DMs. But even the module itself says that as a completely new GM, you can still use this dungeon and learn a lot from it, but it will test your skills immediately. So, luckily I'm not a new DM, nor am I a new player. But it's something that I want to just like experience this whole dungeon. I never really have, and I've like, yeah, I think I've tried it, DMing it for other people, maybe just once, and that was a long time ago, and I think we were playing Maze Rats, and I was a fairly new DM at that point, which is, yeah. So yeah, we're going to give it a shot properly here with Tales of Argosa. It is relatively dangerous, and there's a lot of, I mean, there's almost more discussion for this module than almost any other modern module. Because it's really kind of a divisive thing. Part of that is due to, I think, it being presented as like for new players, and I think a lot of people skip over the fact that it's not for new DMs. So it requires a DM that knows the style of play, knows how to run things, knows how to telegraph stuff, knows how to read between the lines, in order to lead players through it successfully and have a good time. If a new DM picks this up, they're not going to be able to run it the way that it needs to be run, and it's going to come off as just maybe arbitrary to players, or just deadly and stupid, or who knows what. Telegraphing is a big aspect of being a DM in the OSR, and this module, like pretty much every module, does not spell it out for you on how or what to telegraph. All right, so let's begin. Right. Luring the PCs. Assuming the PCs start broke, yes. And know that tombs contain treasure, yes. Here are some ways to get them to the Tomb of the Serpent Kings. They find an ancient map to a long-forgotten tomb. A landslide reveals the tomb's entrance. The goblins kidnap someone close to the PCs. The Lich, ZZ Manter's experiments induce strange dreams. They stumble across the tomb's entrance while dealing with an unrelated matter. Or they're sent to explore the newly discovered tomb by a powerful patron. Well, I don't really need too much motivation because I'm playing solo. I know I like to get into role-playing. I don't have as clear of an idea for these personalities. He is a paladin. I picked kind of a... you can't really see it, but he's kind of a cheeky Minsk sort of figure, almost. So perhaps he's a bit boisterous. He does have a 15 charisma. So he's like, you know... sort of the most popular kid in high school, jock sort of figure that is now a paladin. That's sort of where we're at. I don't know exactly his relationship with Bellany. Perhaps they bang. I don't know. I think that's probably not unreasonable. So she just kind of is... you know, she's like sort of a tsundere character, I think. She's kind of smitten with him, but she never really shows it. She's kind of a bitch. But, you know, he doesn't care. Not much bothers Bruce. He's certainly not that pious of a figure. He's not overly pious, I should say. But he does, you know, have his strong sense of right and wrong. He wants to smite evil wherever he can find it. And, you know, his god doesn't mind if he bangs bitches on the way. That's all. I think it's all good. And they're both, of course, quite interested in glory and fame and treasure and all that good shit. I think Bruce might have had a different reaction to that the catacombs of the last module compared to Xander. Bruce probably would have, you know, said a prayer and said, I think we need this. God, I think we need this stuff, and cracked it open. All right, so we'll just say a landslide has revealed the tomb's entrance near their town, and they're like, oh, well, let's go poke around, take a look. Okay, so here's the big map of the whole section. It's not a multi-level dungeon, it's one level, so this is the whole dungeon. There are quite a lot of rooms, though. 52. So, fairly substantial. We're not going to finish in this video, but hopefully in 2 videos. That would be pleasant. Hopefully after 2 videos we have enough XP and treasure that we can just peace out. But it's also possible we'll just be dead. Alright, the entrance hall. A long corridor with 4 open rooms, 2 on either side. The hallway ends at a large barred door made of stone, leading to the false king's tomb. This brings us to our first major problem, and that is torches. Neither one's going to really want to give up a hand. Bellany does have a lantern and tinderbox, which brings us to a somewhat contentious topic, and that is, can you attach your lantern to your belt? Axe doesn't make any sort of note on that. Doesn't make any mention of it. Tales of Argosa, I'm pretty sure it just has lantern. It's kind of its gear list and doesn't talk about it at all. A Shadowed Arc almost certainly doesn't allow it because it's all about, like, attacking the light. So that's not going to mention anything. Also, Shadowed Arc doesn't mention shit. So I think we're going to take this over to a Google search, shall we? Using one definitely requires a free hand since you're trying to keep it relatively steady. A lantern hanging from your belt is going to jostle around like crazy. Parts of it are also going to get quite hot, and depending on the particular design, the splash in oil could snuff the wick. Belt lanterns do seem to exist, albeit from the Victorian era. I assume the use of a candle instead of oil is precisely because of the dangers you described. Yeah, candlelight is not very bright. I'm sure Axe will tell us exactly how bright the candle is. Bright light out to a 5-foot radius, dim light to another 10 for 15 feet total. Yeah, not good. Alright. Then I'm going to make a special decision as the DM. And I'm going to grant them a torchbearer. They will have to pay for him, of course. He's not free. But I'm letting them start with one. Hired and everything. You know, he's there. So, alright, he's a level 0 henchman. Right, he's a level 0 henchman. So his wage is 12 gold pieces per month. We'll assume that they've paid him for this month. Which might explain where all their gold has gone. Right. It's Bruce's henchman, of course, because he's got the high charisma. And maybe it's another floozy or something that follows Bruce, and he gets to carouse with on occasion because he's a badass. So we'll come up with this floozy. It's going to be, I don't know, Trixie. And Trixie is well, she's not very impressive to say the least. Yeah, not very impressive. She has 1 hit dice. Well, I mean, it's... I'm pretty sure they just have normal... Yeah, I don't know why it would be a D4 or something. She's a human, so... She has pretty middling stats. We'll say like 8 strength, 8 con, 7 intelligence... 9 will. She's fairly attractive though, so 12 charisma. Okay. $12 gold piece per month. Okay. Her catchphrase. Yeah, we're not gonna get into that. Alright, and she has, like, nothing. Like, she can maybe carry something if she has to, but she just follows Bruce, and he tells her to, you know, hold the lantern. That's all you have to do. So we're gonna have her hold the lantern. So we have enough common oil. We have 1 flask of common oil, so 24, which is 4 hours. If it starts to dwindle down, we'll leave and come back, but that's what we got. So not much, you know, as a DM, I'm not really ever going to likely target something like Trixie. It's just mostly mean-spirited. She's kind of always in the background. But if we get into like a trapped room or something and poison gas starts filling, it's like, yeah, she exists. I can't ignore her existence in that much. But for the most part, she's not really ever going to be targeted. Or if something explodes and fills up the whole room or, you know, collapses on, you know, all sorts of stuff could happen. But there you go. They have their lantern bearer, Trixie. We enter. So, to our left and right immediately, we have some small guard tombs, some small tombs. They both contain a wooden coffin with a clay statue of a Snake Man warrior inside. The statues are hollow. Each contains a gold amulet worth 1 gold piece. a dried snake skeleton, and a cloud of poison gas, dealing D6 damage. Now, the lesson here is that the dungeon is organized, there are patterns, there is hidden treasure, there's also hidden danger. The PCs will probably approach the second coffin with more caution and earn their reward, gold, without the danger, poison, by using their brains and a rock or a long stick. So it's pretty much intended then that someone is going to open one of these coffins, find this statue of a snake man, and possibly break it open, where they get blasted by poison gas. D6 damage is not a lot, and it specifically seems to state or imply that you can't die from this. So, for our purposes, I would say it can only reduce you to 1 HP. How could you telegraph this? I saw a comment a little while back that said they changed it so the first one is actually already broken open. The statue's broken open and there's like a skeleton kind of leaning over it, you know, like dead, a skeleton sort of hunched over the empty skeleton or the empty statue. That is perhaps the most obvious way to do it, but if you're playing with brand new players that have never played a game like this, that level of obviousness at the start is not unwarranted. So I could see that. For more, maybe slightly more experienced players or like, something like that. Yeah, it's difficult. That's not really an easy telegraphable thing. And the fact that it's not that dangerous of a thing, can't kill you. Yeah, I think the lesson is more about like, hey, there's dangerous stuff. Use your noggin. But at the same time, it's also kind of like, yeah, it's a good lesson, right? It's a good lesson because a good player would probably already try to break that statue from a distance rather than just standing over it and smacking it with a crowbar. So, yeah, it just teaches players to be cautious in places like this. So I'm okay with that. Let's go ahead and, well, how do we want to do this? I don't think every group that ever plays this will break it open. So, let's do an oracle roll. Will Bruce break it open? And, he'll just crack open the sarcophagus, see it, and just, bash his shield into it or something to break it open. Also, would you even think that you could break this? It's a fucking statue. Oh, it's made of clay, I guess. Okay, it looks like it's made of clay. It looks breakable. All right, so I'm going to say it's likely that he does. So I'm going to roll with advantage. No. Okay. Perhaps his intelligence plays out or something like that, and he decides that he's not just going to break open random statues. He was hoping to find treasure just sitting there, I guess. He hasn't been on that many adventures. Perhaps this is his first dungeon. So he's going to move on. And, he probably opens up the other sarcophagus, and that one's also just got a stupid statue in it. Go to this one, similar to the guard tombs, but inside the coffin is a clay statue of a thin and sly-looking snake man scholar. Its scrolls have crumbled to dust. The statue contains the same amulet, snake skeleton, poison as the others. Okay, so this one's slightly different. It is not a warrior, it's a scholar. That might change his opinions. So, I'll do another oracle roll, just 50-50. Will he smash this one open? No, he's still just like, stupid statues. Getting annoyed at this bullshit. He goes to 4. Similar to the guard tombs, but inside the coffin, there is a clay statue of a robed snake man sorcerer wearing a silver ring. Oh, okay. Now that is something he will take. That is what he's been looking for. But it says they'll almost certainly try to pry the ring off, breaking the statue open and revealing the poison gas and amulet. Okay, so the ring is not just on the statue. It's sort of melded with the clay a little bit. So there isn't really a way to get it off without kind of breaking the finger. So that happens. There's no way around it. And poison gas starts kind of... It's almost like pressurized poison gas, really. Just starts shooting out of the finger towards Bruce's face. So he's going to have to roll Luck Con. And this is going to tick down his luck, which is annoying. Alright, he got a great success. So he immediately just starts backing up and waving it away. And, you know, he's a hardy boy. He's got 18 Constitution. So... annoying. But he got the ring. Now, the ring is magical, but also cursed. If worn on a finger, the fingernail becomes long, bifurcated, and pointed like twin fangs. It can be used like a poison dagger. Living targets must save versus poison or take plus 1d6 poison damage on a hit. But each morning, the wearer must save versus poison or take d6 damage. If they take 6 damage at once from the poison ring, their finger falls off and turns into a snake. Cursed magic items. I think, as you've seen from all the different modules we've run, cursed magic items are very rare. So this is a fairly wild thing to throw in the first set of rooms, is an obvious cursed ring. I think that might scare players a bit too much, depending on your style of play. So that would, if I was going to DM for new people, just the way that I DM and my style and everything, I would probably change this. I don't think I'd make it just a purely beneficial magic ring, but I think I'd probably make it not as cursed and maybe a bit more interesting. Some sort of snake ring. It's a good question, I suppose. Let's find a D&D snake ring, a serpent ring, or something like that. It's not bad, I suppose. Turn into a snake. This is all pretty cursed. No, I want just something. It's all pretty lengthy. Maybe I should have just searched OSR. It's probably that. What are the odds I'm gonna find? Now I need to just be creative, I guess. The Encyclopedia Magica. Why didn't I look at that? Yeah, this is all going to be stuff that's purely beneficial and good. I might ask ChatGPT. Just hold on a second here. Okay, I set up a local client here with Jan AI so that Sam Altman doesn't steal all my D&D secrets. So I need a snake-themed ring for a D&D game with a minor benefit and a minor curse. How about that? Look at how fast it is. Blazing. Ring of the Sly Serpent, blah, blah, blah. We can skip a lot of these. Disadvantage on anything related to poison. That could work. I like that disadvantage. But I need... This is not... Well... Yeah, maybe. Disadvantage on anything related to poison is kind of significant. So I think... maybe some other advantages. Perception checks that involves sight of snakes. That's pretty situational. Damn. Yeah, I don't really like almost any of these. All right, fuck it. We're gonna say it provides disadvantage on any luck check related to poison, but it gives plus fuck it, yeah. +2 to dex checks. Fine. That's a pretty good advantage, but you'll be fucking cursing yourself if you get poisoned. So I think it's a pretty hefty drawback, but a nice advantage you're gonna want most of the time. So we could give that to Bellany. She is very snake themed, but I don't think she has a snake pet, so I don't know if she'd want to have disadvantage on anything related to poison in case the snake turns on her or just happens to bite her or something. I don't know. Bruce probably benefits more from the dex aspect because his dex is shit. And he also has such good con that... Yeah, but he's more likely to be poisoned. Fuck. Alright, we'll give it to Bellany. She's snake-themed. So this is the Ring of the Sly Serpent. Magic item... I mean, is technically equipped, I guess. 0 slots. +2 to dex. This is checks, not luck. It has nothing. It does not affect luck. I guess it could, but that seems a bit too powerful. Okay. Alright, we got our first magic item. The apparent value of that is going to be 25 gold. We can delete all this shit. This doesn't matter anymore. Damn it. Bruce and Bellany. Alright. Good. Well, so he still learned his lesson, and we got a magic item. So, good enough. Moving on. We'll say that all took a turn. A large door, barred with a lengthy piece of stone hung on 2 iron pegs set into either side of the door frame. Requires at least 3 PCs to lift, or if the party is smaller, all PCs. When the bar is lifted, the iron pegs begin to rise. When the bar is fully removed, a trap is activated. A huge stone hammer swings down from the ceiling, aiming straight for the backs of the now trapped PCs. Nearly fills the corridor, but there is a small gap on either side. PCs can save to dodge, or use another PC as a springboard, giving them +2 to dodge, but giving the shoved PC -2. PCs hit by the hammer automatically die. That's some funnel shit right there. I mean, I do agree, it probably would kill you. It's a massive stone hammer, like, spring-loaded. Or take serious damage, like 2d6 +4. Lesson here is that there are deadly traps in the dungeon can be lethal. Yes. It's one of those things that you would just sort of narrate. You might not really rely on any skill checks, and especially if you're playing like an actual old school game, there certainly wouldn't be any skill checks. This would be player skill. So, you know, it's this big piece of stone on these iron pegs, and you would just say, like, okay, as you're lifting the bar, you see that the iron pegs set in the door also sort of rise with it. And then it would be up to player skill at that point. They might just ignore you and say, okay. Or they might say, well, hold on. We don't want to... There's something going on. This is not a normal door, you know? Does Bruce realize this? I know Bellany's not very smart. She has a 9 intelligence. So if there's any thinking going on, it's Bruce, which is, I know, scary. He's really just like... He's just the man, you know? So he's going to roll an int check. He got a great success, 2. Well, then I don't feel bad for him sort of figuring this out pretty quickly. So he suspects then that there's really some sort of funky mechanism going on here with the door. So we're going to take the time now to look around. And that's when we see the sort of buried in the ceiling, it looks like there's an outline of like this big stone club or something, this block of stone that's going to come perhaps crashing down onto us. So now we have the question of how to resolve this puzzle. We need to get the big piece of stone off the pegs, but we can't let the pegs go all the way up with it, which probably suggests we need to hold down the pegs with something. Not that we have a lot of gear, I'll say that. Do we have anything heavy? We have Bruce. Sure. Alright, so we'll tie the rope around the pegs. And then we'll sort of give him like a little loop of rope underneath that he can step down on. And then he's just like, it's his whole weight sort of holding down the pegs as we lift the block off. Because he has to use all his muscles to actually lift the block. And Bellany has to help. And we really don't want to involve Trixie in anything. Okay, she's just there to hold the lantern. And that was the agreement. And she gets 12 gold a month and dick. So yeah, we're just gonna use a loop of rope there to hold down the pegs. Lift the bar off. And the door opens. And we sort of drop the stone block nearby. And then basically Bruce is just going to use his muscles. Well, I guess they'll both sort of continue to hold down the pegs as we swing the door open. Well, yeah, so they're on either side of the door frame. So we'll just kind of kick open the door. And we'll actually... I guess we'll put the big stone piece... Yeah, fuck it. We'll put the big stone piece back on the pegs then. Because now we can just, like, go underneath it and go through the doorway. And then untie the rope, put it back in the bag, and go on through. That'll probably all took another 10 minutes just kind of figure it out and get that rigged up and stuff. So it's still active if someone does lift that off. Well, it suggests that it's not actually a door, which is weird, because it says its first activation knocks open the stone doors leading to 6. But if it's not a door that opens up, then it's not a door. Don't call it a door. That's a wall. If you meant to say that it's a wall, call it a wall. It's a door, so it opens. That's how I see it. But all right, we step into the false king's tomb. And, you know, we clamber underneath the stone block and go in. The burial chamber of a decoy snake man king and his 2 brides. On the north wall are 3 wooden coffins painted with stylized sleeping snake men. The coffin in the middle is larger and more ornate. Each coffin contains a skeleton, who will immediately attack if their rest is disturbed. Definitely, sort of murky definition of the word disturbed here. Does walking in cause the coffins to pop open? Probably not. Does opening the coffin cause it? Hell yeah. So if we just ignore the coffins and move on, probably fine. But we did just get a magical ring out of a coffin, so I think Bruce is going to have to go knocking. And he sees that larger, more ornate one, so he's immediately going to crack that one open. And he's greeted face to face with a skeleton. And the other 2 coffin lids pop off immediately as well. And we are in combat. This is annoying because my snake's poison is going to be useless, but it is what it is. All right, we need initiative. They both have identical of 12, so it does not matter. Great success. All right, Bruce is ready. He's been waiting for this. Now, it says here that they take less damage from slashing weapons. Again, I don't know what system is this even written for. It's just generic OSR, I thought. I mean, yeah, I have no idea. I have no idea what he wrote it in mind for. But certainly that's not in Axe, and it's not in OSE, and so on and so forth. So again, I feel like I've checked this like 30 times just to confirm. Yeah. No mention of that. So I don't know what he's running. Yeah, I don't know. It says classic D&D, but like I said, that sort of stuff didn't come in until like 2nd edition. It's, yeah, very generic. So I have no idea. We don't follow that though. We use sort of axe stat blocks when possible. He also gives them 2 hit dice and a 1d6 claw attack. But we'll just use 3 skeletons from axe just to keep it consistent. That's what I like. That's what we'll do. So 1 hit dice. They do have a bony claw that does 1d6, or they have weapons, but we'll say these just have their claws. All right. He could turn undead. That would cause them to flee, but he doesn't want them to flee. He wants them dead. So we're just going to go ahead and have him spear the one in front of him. And that's all there is to it. All right, that is definitely a hit. They only have 12 AC. They're not wearing... They don't have weapons, so they're not wearing armor. That's 12 AC, so it's a hit. And he did 3 damage, which is not enough to kill this one. Got 1 hit point left. Bellany's going to send in Writhe to try to bite that skeleton to death. And it's not looking too great. It only has +1 to its attack. It fumbled. Which technically means the skeleton gets a free opportunity attack against it. D20 +1. He also missed. Okay. Bellany is going to shoot one of the other skeletons, not in front of Bruce. She also fumbled. What the fuck is happening? Great. Well, it doesn't... nothing happens. But the skeletons get to go. 2 of them are going to attack Bruce. No, fuck, they'll all 3 attack Bruce, because he disturbed the coffins. This music does not seem fitting for going through this tomb, I gotta say. We need something a bit more appropriate. Alright, so they're all 3 going to attack Bruce. They outnumber him 3-1. So they get +3 total to the roll. First one, miss. Second one, miss. Third one, hit. For 1d6 with a claw. He sheds blood and he's not happy. Better not be his face. New initiative. Failure. They are going to go again. First roll, miss. Second roll, hit. Third roll, miss. Another 1 damage. Bruce is getting upset. Our turn. We'll start with Writhe trying to bite that skeleton again. Again, +1 on the roll here. That is a miss. Bruce will try to finish off the one he injured. Miss. And Bellany is shooting into melee no matter what here. So that means that they're going to have 14 AC. She'll shoot the injured one. Crit. Okay, well, she decimates that one. Could do a major exploit here, but I feel like we're probably going to want our luck for long term here. So we'll leave it as is. New initiative. Failure again. 2 skeletons on Bruce. They only have +2 to the roll now. That is 1 hit for 1 more damage. Bruce spears another skeleton. Misses. She shoots. Fumbles again. This is really not looking good. I think Trixie sort of smiles a little bit every time Bellany fucks up. They don't get along too well, his 2 women here. And Writhe will try to bite one. He does hit for 2 damage. It's got 2 health left. New initiative. Can we get a success sometime? No, we cannot. 2 more skeleton attacks on Bruce. Miss and hit for another 4 damage. He's down to 11. Jesus, this is not going too well. Stab the injured... No, we'll have Writhe attack the injured one. Misses. Spear the injured one. That is thankfully a hit and a kill. 1 left. Longbow. Hit for 3 damage plus a natural 19 on the missile table, which is a d12. She rolled a 12. I'm pretty sure we're counting that as just fucking dead. 12 is a headshot. Target must make a luck con save. On a fail, they die instantly. He does not succeed. Well done. Okay. Job done. That does earn us a short rest, and that earns us 39 XP. Okay, short rest for Bruce. He got 2 successes, so he is just going to be healing. Brings him back to 17. Not perfect, but it's alright. It's alright. It's, you know, back and forth. That's Tales of Argosa. It's all good. Okay, we are going to search this room, of course, because we're hoping to find some treasure, and we don't. So, begrudgingly, we move on. This room contains a giant statue of a hideous snake man god, resembling a cross between a toad, a heap of intestines, and a melted candle. Water leaking into the tomb has eroded the floor, revealing a secret passage under the statue to level 2 of the dungeon. So the lesson here is there are secret passages, they are associated with statues, and this might be a false tomb. Throughout this dungeon, statues will be associated with secret passages and treasure. Okay, sort of a specific lesson, somewhat, you know? But yes, there are secret passages in dungeons. I suppose that is a lesson. Pretty small room, so I don't think we poke around too much. Interestingly, it doesn't really discuss how you get into the secret passage. It just says you see water leaking into the tomb, revealing a secret passage under the statue. So I don't know if we have to just push the statue out of the way, but that's what we'll do. Alright, down into the secret passage. Despite Trixie's complaints. This damp, narrow room lies directly below the false temple. It's an alcove-like passage. It widens to become the statue hall. Alright, we'll tick down the clock again for all that movement. Just moving the statue and everything. A long, wide corridor. 6 huge statues of heavily armed and armored snake men loom over the hall, glaring at the party. One of the statues is twisted slightly out of alignment with the wall. Okay. That is a curiosity, you know, especially if a DM mentions that to you. It's like, oh, well, what's going on with this statue? And really, if they just inspect the statue and the wall and stuff, it would be pretty easy to find, so we don't roll for that. So we move another statue out of the way, and we find the secret door. We will go in. This room was once a secret guard room for temple assassins. Now it is empty and dark. The furniture is rotted to fragments. On the wall are 2 hooked pole arms that are still usable, along with a silver icon of a scowling snake man king worth 5 gold pieces. I wonder what the treasure value of this is. Did you state that at some point? Treasure amounts are balanced around the idea that 200 gold is enough to level a single character. That is not correct. So we need to multiply treasure values by 10. Yeah, and it's easy. I think I've heard that mentioned too. That's why I questioned it. We have not found any other. Yeah, we found the magic ring, but yes, okay. So we are definitely taking the Scowling Snake Man King silver icon, which is going to be worth 50 XP. And we will throw that in here. I'm not going to have that take up a slot. Well, I guess on its own, yes, it does take up a slot, but we can combine it with other stuff. Silver icon of Snake Man. 50 GP. Okay, excellent. We'll head back the way we came then. Tick down the light again. And we cautiously continue forward down this hall. I would say we search this room, but it's also very clearly a hall, and we don't tend to search those things. But at the same time, halls can often contain secret passages, but we already found the secret passage, so yeah, we'll move on. It's always those fringe cases, but I could see groups saying they're going to search the rest of the hall and all the statues. Hard to say. I guess that's what the Oracle is for. Fine, do we search the rest of this hall? We do. Fine. Fuck you. Moving on to number 11. Which is the big open atrium. Large chamber, octagonal chamber, also ringed with glaring snake man statues. Some carry weapons, others carry implements of torture or agriculture. The doors to rooms 12 to 16 are made of heavy stone, but can be levered without much difficulty. Room 15 has an unlocked wooden door. Room 18 has a stone door, but it is much more ornately carved than the others. There was once a pit in the center of the room, but water trickling from the surface through rooms 7 and 9 is filled it to the brim with dark, oily water that smells like licorice. The pool is 10 feet deep. Now, again, this is a good example of why this isn't for new players, or new DMs. Because this is not like a DCC module or something like that where it has the out loud text that a DM should read, you know? And it's very obvious that this is what the DM reads, and then the following is just the DM information. This just gives the DM information, and they have to parse it and speak it out loud in a way that makes sense and doesn't reveal too much and includes their own personal details or telegraphing and blah, blah, blah. Because, yeah, I could see a new DM running this and just saying, the hallway opens up into a large octagonal chamber, also ringed, blah, blah, blah. The doors to rooms 12 to 16. The pool is 10 feet deep. Inside the pool, or, it's like, maybe no one's that bad, but yeah, it's definitely trickier then for a new DM to have to paraphrase, even though that is an important skill. All right, so yeah, inside the pool are 2 mummy claws. They will jump out to attack anyone who comes within 5 feet of the pit. Lesson: there are hidden monsters. Some monsters also inflict diseases. It is very hard to hit a monster clinging to your friend's throat. So it's a big open octagonal room. There are 6 doors at what would that be, like 10 o'clock, midnight, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Well, really, I guess just northwest, north, northeast, east, southeast, south, and then there's a hallway to the southwest. And there's the pool of water in the middle, which looks very dark and oily. You smell licorice in the air for some reason. Yes. And as Bruce approaches the pool, as he is wont to do, we are going to give him a perception check specifically. He does have detection. He got a success. So he sees slight movement underneath the water. And that is all you really need to say. You just see the water kind of shift a little bit. Some sort of, like a slightly darker outline beneath the dark water, but it's really hard to tell from here. What do you do? That's a good question. Probably he's going to throw an iron spike in from a distance. Didn't mark it as consumable, just to make it quicker and easier. I still didn't mark it because it's not gear. We're going to get there. Thank you. So he tosses the iron spike in, and immediately the 2 mummy claws burst out of the water after being disturbed. And we're going to go into combat again. Let's roll that initiative, shall we? Great success. All right. Bruce has a target. He's had enough of it, and he's going to stab it. Stab. That is probably going to be a miss. These things have... Interestingly, he didn't list AC for these things. That's obnoxious. I'm not going to have an axe listing for a mummy hand. So I need something relatively similar? What the fuck is going to be similar to that? A murder maggot? No, those things are massive. No, they're small. Okay. They have an AC of 10. I don't think that's that ridiculous. Giant leeches are 4 feet long. Yeah, I mean, it's the size of a hand. Pretty small. I don't know why you wouldn't put AC in there. Like, I imagine fairies have... Yeah, these things have much higher AC. I don't think 10 is a hit. I think we'll set a number here at 12 and call it a day. Unless he has a bestiary at the end where he lists specifically their further stats. Stats as crawling claws. Oh. Is that a thing? Not in axe. Okay. I wish you wouldn't do that. Does OSE have a crawling claw creature? No. Crawling claw. Okay, someone else asking. I believe they appear in the 2nd edition AD and D monster manual. If you have one of those handy. That's why they roughly map out to kobolds. 12 AC, as I said. 2 to 4 hit points. Okay, so he missed. Bellany is going to shoot the other one that he didn't target. That is a hit, and that is a kill. So she sort of pins it to the side of the fountain. And then Writhe is going to try to bite the other one. That is a miss. Okay. Well, Writhe is in melee, so I guess it's going to try to throttle the life out of that. Which will do 1d6 damage if it's strangling. Well, that's if it's strangling you, so I don't know if that would happen immediately. It would latch onto your neck and then squeeze. So, yeah, okay. So it's just gonna try. It's 1 hit dice. Actually, it's 0. Well, they're giving it 2 hit dice. Holy shit! Why is it so strong? Well, in that case, she didn't kill that other one. But everyone here said 1 hit dice. 1 hit dice works perfectly. This has it as 2 to 4 hit points, which is less than 1 hit dice. Okay, and this says 2 to 4 hit points. So, alright, I'm saying 4 hit points. Right. So, that means it has a +0 to its attack roll against Writhe. Fumble. Writhe counterattacks. Misses. That's it. New initiative. Failure. It attacks Writhe again. Crits. Ooh, that's pretty bad. Well, in this case, I don't know if that means anything because it was trying to just latch onto it to strangle it. Yeah. Alright, fine. We'll say that it is annoyed and it just clawed it for 4 damage. So it's at 4. Ouch. So that means it's not latched onto it, which is good because it's a little exposed now. So, Bellany is going to shoot it. And that is a kill. Excellent. Even with the +2 AC from it being a melee. Alright, well, Bellany did all the work. Bruce hasn't really done much so far in this place. But he's got the spirit. Alright, these things are going to be worth an abysmally low amount of XP. I think we can agree. It says they're diseased. It says some monsters also inflict disease. I like that it just doesn't explain that. It says drinking the water, rubbing it into open wounds inflicts mummy rot. So I imagine that he... I don't know, they don't claw you or anything. So I don't know why they would... I don't... Unless that was in the... Doesn't mention any mummy rot in this old stat block from AD&D, so... Yeah, I don't think they have disease. I don't think they have a special trait, really. Unless all undead have special traits. Maybe that is true, because they're immune to enchantment effects and stuff like that. Okay, that's probably fair. Alright, so then they're... Although, yeah, they're 6 HP, so XP, so that's 12. Okay. Fine. You can see how slow we're going, huh? Right. So, drinking the water, rubbing it... was that a significant counter? Technically, the snake took some damage, but I'm not counting it. Drinking the water, rubbing it in open wounds inflicts mummy rot, but touching it does not. If the party kills or disables both mummy claws and attempts to dredge or search the pool, it contains a very angry and completely insane mummy's head, a heavy gold chain worth, well, in our case, 350 gold, a magic silver ring, and a magic utility item of the GM's choice, or a randomly rolled magic item, or 2d10 gold pieces in jewelry. The silver ring is a ring of eyesight. While wearing it, one of the user's eyes pops out and becomes hard as glass. The eye still sees normally. What happens when you take the ring off? I sort of like the idea of that, but I'm not sure the mechanics of that in that situation. We may have to redo a magic item here. As usual. Right. Well, okay, so we have really dark, oily water, smells like licorice. There were mummy hands in it. I don't think we really want to touch it. So I guess the better question would be, can I break the side of this pool? No, it was once a pit in the center of the room, but water trickling from the surface has filled it. So no, it's not a fountain, it's a pit. Which means I can't, like, break it and cause the water to spill out. I don't think we really have, like, a bucket or anything to keep bringing water up out of it. So it's a 10-foot deep pool. That is a tricky one, man. That is a damn tricky one. If I had a magic user and we could sense magic, we could sense that there is magical items in there and worth it. As it stands, though, pretty tricky. Yeah, I mean, we can attach the iron spike to a rope and drop it down to see how deep the pool is. And I think once we see that it's 10 feet deep and has maybe like 30 more mummy hands down at the bottom, I think we'll probably just ignore it. That's going to be tricky. I imagine most groups are not going to get that. Yeah, I mean, if this were a funnel, maybe. Funnel players tend to be more suicidal, but I always see comments and stuff in the OSR subreddit from people that are just like, yeah, I always tend to play my characters really suicidally, and I always want to push the button or touch the thing or jump in or what, I always do that, and I lose all sorts of characters. I feel like that's a little bit of a weird way to play. I feel like I'd be kind of slightly annoyed to play with someone like that. But then they'd probably also be slightly annoyed to play with people like me that are maybe too cautious or something and don't want to touch anything and miss out on a lot of treasure because they're too cautious. I don't think I'm overly cautious, but I think I try to be intelligent about stuff and actually value my characters' lives and hope that they succeed through their intelligence. But yeah, I mean, especially, well, it's tricky because I play more solo than I do, like, well, I certainly play more solo than I ever play at all with a DM. I haven't played with a DM in, like, consistently, it's probably been 5 or 6 years now. So, yeah, solo is mostly all I got. And it's just a different way to play when it's solo and you're reading a module and you know all the answers. So, hard to say. And I've never played consistently with a DM with an OSR game. It's always been like Shadow of the Demon Lord or D&D 4th edition or something like that. Right. So we have 6 doors in a hallway. I guess we'll just try all the doors, right? Bruce is not so dumb that he won't listen at the doors, so failure. It says door number 12. It's made of heavy stone. So yeah, we really wouldn't hear much anyways. So we open. Probably ticking down the torch at this point. We open, we're gonna step in, and there is a pressure plate. Well, okay. So again, as usual, telegraphing. You enter this room, there's like this short hallway leading into what looks like a square room. On the far wall, directly opposite the door, is a disc. Made of what looks to be a silvery material. Actually, do they explain what electrum is? No. I'm sure some game explains what electrum is. And what it looks like. If I were DMing, I would Google that to make sure so I could describe it properly. But yes, some sort of metallic disc on the far wall facing the door. Will this, will Bruce notice this and think it to be a little suspect is the question. Yes, he will. Which is going to give him an advantage, not an advantage, but a +2 to notice the pressure plate. Because now he's a bit more wary. So we're going to give him 3 total. Great success. Okay, he spots it pretty much immediately after then. That there is a pressure plate on the floor. The floor is slightly raised, or there's an outline on the floor. Yeah, seems like a hop and a skip then to just jump over, and he tells Bellany and Trixie to just wait there for the moment. He'll hop over it. Doesn't say how large the pressure plate is, but I can't imagine most pressure plates in all dungeons are like 10 feet wide. So I'm pretty sure he can hop it. Although technically he's got 10 slots filled. So his dex mod is 10, mine is 10. He has athletics, so he can add +1. So really, if it's 5 feet wide pressure plate, he only has a 33% chance of hopping it. But I'm not going to be too anal about this one because it doesn't tell me how big the pressure plate is. And if it's not wall to wall, he could just walk around it anyways. But he certainly can't jump much, can he? All right. There is a coffin in here, stone coffin. So he's going to crack that open and find it to be empty. And then I guess there's the disc on the wall, which he probably recognizes as being valuable. That's sort of... Doesn't that sort of fall into like the adventurer proficiency? Where is that listed exactly? No, I guess it's not stated in Acts to be specifically a part of that, but I like to wrap it up into that of just like, you're an adventurer, you just have an eye for treasure, you know. That's just part of being an adventurer. That's usually how I like to justify some things, so players don't just like see something valuable that I know is valuable and they're just like, meh, what do I need this cup for or something. It's like, no, you recognize that that is a piece of treasure that someone would pay for. So yeah, he's gonna rip the disc off the wall. I suppose I might argue that it still is like a trap, and it might fire if he rips it off the wall, like indelicately, which is what he's doing. He doesn't have traps and locks, but again, I might give him an intelligence roll to realize that. Okay, he does not realize it, which is pretty bad, because I'm sure Trixie and the other is still sort of in the doorway, because he needs to see, so she's holding the lantern and stuff. This could be disastrous, especially because it's 4d6 damage. Average of 14, save for half. It's going to kill both of them. So perhaps we don't want to do it that way. We'll do it the old school D6 way. When he rips it off, there's a 1 in 2, 2 in 6 chance that it fires. Of course it fires. How could it fucking not? Basically, this is a really dumb thing to do, but also I'm just making stuff up. It could be that there's no chance for it to fire. I guess I'll roll then just the Oracle. Just to decide for me if they're... I mean, I already rolled the 2 and 6, but that was... I should have rolled first. I'm trying to buy my way out of this problem that I created. Because basically, what happened... Like, Bellany will be dead, Trixie will be dead, the lantern will fall on the ground and break, and he'll be stuck in here in the dark by himself. And then at that point, it's basically just like, I'm done. So, I'm trying to buy my way out. I don't know why I even mentioned it. Fuck it. The module doesn't mention it, so fuck it. No, I'm not doing any more rolls. Nothing happens. He just rips it off the wall and we get it. Forget I said anything. We get 100 XP for that and 100 gold. This disc is probably fairly big. This might be an actual slot. Okay. He shimmies around the pressure plates, even though... I mean, perhaps the Electrum disc wasn't actually what fires the lightning bolt. Perhaps there's like a little nozzle or something that's like the disc has a... it's like a donut, and there's like a little nozzle that was on the wall. And the disc was just sort of like a decoration placed over it. So the disc... really was just like hanging there like a painting or something, and you didn't have to rip it or anything. Let's narrate it that way, shall we? That it works enough with the description in the module. Okay. My punishment for that whole debacle is another 10 minutes, which is what I should do anyways. There are no random encounters on this. There's only random encounters further in the dungeon when we get to room something. Like, there's a level 3 of the dungeon, the lower tombs. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, once we get to room 22 and beyond, which isn't that far off. Right. So, next door. Again, it's a heavy stone door. Really, I would only let him hear something if he got a great success. Yeah, he didn't. So, you can't hear shit through this stone. But just go in. Bruce is not afraid. The passage to this tomb has collapsed. The blocks of the ceiling caved in. The PCs will hear Sparamuntar, a snake man skeleton, lurching and thumping on the other side of the blocked passage. He's not very subtle and will try and strike the moment he can see the head of a living creature. His funeral trinkets are worth 10 gold pieces. It says to listen at doors. You can hear some monsters before you see them. Some rooms are best left alone. I mean, he is relatively dangerous. He's a 3-hit dice skeleton with a great axe. Right. Well, we so it's collapsed in, and there's a bunch of blocks. So it would take us time to remove this, and we can hear something lurching and thumping on the other side. Yeah, basically it would just be like 10 minutes of labor to open it up. Now it says that he'll strike as soon as he sees the head of a living creature. But I can't imagine we would just poke our fucking head through. So, I mean, his chance of, like, surprising us in that way and ambushing us seems really slim. So either he's gonna, like, come crawling through an opening, which is probably more likely. I would imagine he wants to get out to kill us. It says he's not very subtle. Or we open up a way and we can just walk in. But I don't think... Like, it says he's not very subtle. He's a skeleton. So as soon as there's an opening wide enough, he's gonna crawl through with his great axe and we'll fight him. We don't know that he's a 3-hit dice skeleton with a great axe. We just hear something lurching and thumping. But Bruce is not one to shy away from conflict, so hell yeah, we're gonna start moving blocks. 10 more minutes go by, and eventually a Snake Man skeleton starts crawling through carrying a great axe. If anything, we could probably ambush him, but I think we're a little too surprised, so we'll just roll initiative and go to it. And of course we fail, so he's going to be swinging at Bruce right away. Scrambles out of there with his great axe. So he gets +3 on the roll. He fumbles. Bruce counters. That is a miss, almost certainly. We're using standard Skelly stats, so that's 12 AC, so... Yeah, Bruce is a fucking embarrassment in combat. He's very good in a lot of other aspects, but basically he's just a wall of meat that stands there. I don't know what his problem is, but he has been rolling abysmally. Granted, he only has 14 strength. He really wants that extra point. And he only has +1 attack bonus, but still, he has +1 attack bonus. That's pretty good. I mean, so does Bellany. Anyway, she's going to shoot it with the longbow. It has 14 AC. Look at that, no problem. 7 fucking damage. He does have 13 hit points, so he's down to 6 now. Writhe will try to bite him. Miss. New initiative. Success. Bruce will try to finish him. Miss again. Bellany. Kills him. Fucking Bruce! What the hell? He's like a fucking himbo. Or something. He's like... He is like this weird anime protagonist that is just so overconfident and charming and muscular and just like... And he's smart. And then he gets into combat and he's just utterly fucking useless. And his woman that follows him just solves all his problems for him. What the hell, man? Alright, well, it's a 3-hit dice undead, which means that we're going to get 365 XP for that one. And Bruce will crawl through to the other side to scope out the area. It's another tomb. Oh, there's nothing in the tomb, but on the skeleton... Well, I'm not really sure if it's on the skeleton or it's in... It doesn't matter. 100 gold pieces worth of trinkets. That's another 100 XP. We'll wrap this up with the silver icon of the Snake Man. 100 gold pieces. All right. Well, we're certainly a far cry away from leveling up, but we have, well, 15% less. That's 85, so 170 plus, I don't know, 42. So like 200 and some gold. Not bad. Not bad. Amount of gold. We can buy something. What did I say was priority 1 for Bellany? I've already forgotten. Thieves' tools. Yes, okay. Jeez. Thieves' tools and maybe plate armor if we can get it. Okay. On to the next one. Another 10 minutes gone by. He does have torches, by the way. He's got 6 torches. So if the lantern runs out, Trixie can hold the torch. Next one is another big stone door, so very unlikely for him to hear anything. Yeah, success is not going to be good enough, so we just go in. This room is more primitive than the others. It contains one stone coffin with the badly mummified remains of Franbinzar, last ruler of the fortress. The mummification did not go well. He counts as a black pudding. That's pretty dangerous. Yeah, black pudding is not a joke. Where's a black blob, but that has 10 hit dice, so that's not quite the thing we're looking for. I wish they were all in one category. I will say that's a complaint about this book. Because I don't know what they all call their oozes and stuff. There's the gray goo. That's 3 hit dice. That could be what we use. I think that's maybe a lot more reasonable. There's not the gelatinous mass. There's the mustard mold. That's 2 hit dice, but that's not really... Yeah, that's an immobile thing. That's different. The ochre ooze. That's 5 hit dice. I suppose we could go with that. I also might just check. It's probably in his little bestiary section, right? Black pudding. That's as a black pudding. 5 hit dice, 1d6 damage. If prolonged contact, cornered, or absorbed, 3d6 damage. Takes no damage from bludgeoning weapons. Well, that's not terribly bad, and I think if we went with like the ochre ooze or something, or the gray goo, it probably is going to be a lot worse. But let me check the gray goo. I don't want to just pick and choose what bestiary I use based on what's the easiest, but this one slams targets for 2d8 damage. Any non-magical clothing is destroyed immediately. Successful slam on an armored being immediately destroys any non-magical armor. Yeah, see, I told you it was going to be a little trickier. And a non-magical weapon that strikes it dissolves immediately after dealing its damage. This is not an easy thing, which is why it has 3 special ability stars. We'll stick with the stats as written here for a black pudding, which means that it's going to have 21 hit points. Luckily, we don't have any bludgeoning weapons, so it's not too bad. And metal or wooden weapons striking it have a 10% chance to dissolve. Okay, not great, but hell of a lot better than guaranteed to dissolve. So he cracks open the tomb, and this sort of blob-like skeleton just oozes out, and we get into combat. Failure, of course. So it's immediately going to target Bruce. 5 hit dice means that it's going to get +5 to its roll. But I might want to double check that. Oh, this actually has 10 hit dice for a black pudding. Jesus. So clearly he's just going with his own stats. This thing has +8 Thaco. Fine, we'll give it +4. Fair enough. +4 against Bruce. That is a hit. 1d6 damage. 3. Well, it's sort of hard to decide if you're cornered or not, right? That's more up to me sort of narrating, I guess. All right, then we'll narrate. And yes, it's not a very long video, I know. Because he could do a minor exploit. I might have him trip Bruce. Yeah, I mean, for a gray ooze, it has 16 fucking dex. It's pretty nuts. Although the sentient ooze has 10 dex. Yeah, one of the two, I guess. Probably. I think the sentient ooze is more the category we're looking at. So... yeah, 10 dex. Well, that means he has a very high strength. I could have him grab. But we'll go for the corner thing. And we'll just narrate it that way. That he's not going to do a minor exploit, but the pudding sort of shifts and blocks Bruce from going down the corridor here. So he's sort of blocking in this exit. All right. Bruce is going to stab the shit out of this thing. That is almost certainly not a hit. All right. I wish he didn't just put stats as a black pudding. That's why I'm in your monster section. Because I want to know what a black pudding is. And he doesn't even... Why give the hit dice then and stuff and all the other stuff? Why not just put in the AC? It's a lot easier. AD&D black pudding. I love it. Like, I have to have a specific AD&D monster manual in my collection where they have 5 hit dice. Unless he just... Alright, fuck it. We'll just do the OSE stats. So it has 13 AC. He missed. Bellany's gonna shoot. That is a hit. She's gonna go ahead and use sharpshooter. She has to roll just a straight perception roll. Success. So she auto crits, which, like I said, is going to do 1d6 plus 1 for her level, plus 2 for perception damage. So, yeah, so 9 damage. So she does 9 damage to it, which is pretty severe. She could attempt a major exploit, but I'm not really sure what I would do. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I would do. And then I guess Writhe could go in there, but he's already injured at 4, and it says that it can target any number of PCs adjacent to it. So Writhe is going to hold back. Which means we have new initiative. Good. She's going to shoot again. She hits again for 6, so she's done 15. Technically, it's in melee, but also the way that it's positioned, it's made itself a more open target to her in order to block in Bruce. So I'm not giving it the AC bonus. That's why she's hitting. So she's done 15 damage of its 19 hit points. If Bruce can finally land a shot, we may have something here. No, Bruce will never land a shot ever, which is problematic because now he's cornered. So he'll have to, if he wants to avoid getting attacked, he'll have to leap over this thing, which is not going to be easy because he has 10 dex and he has no acrobatics. Technically, I think athletics also counts for jumping, if I recall. Yeah, it does. So he could use athletics for strength, slightly better. And he could re-roll if he fails. No matter what, he's getting an op, though, unless he gets a great success. Even then. Yeah, even then, I'm not sure. Okay. He's not going to get an op because he's not actually leaving the threat range, but he's no longer cornered. That's how we're justifying it. So the pudding's going to go. It's going to roll just a normal attack, +4. It misses. Good. We get a new initiative. Fail. It's going to attack again. It definitely hits. 1d6 damage. 4 more damage to Bruce. That's not great. It is going to now do a minor exploit to try to knock him to the ground. And this is going to be strength-based rather than dex, because it's just trying to, like, wash over him and overwhelm him. It's not trying to trip him. So, we'll give it its 17 strength, I guess. Ooh, succeeded by 12. Good luck, Bruce. Nice roll, but not good enough. So Bruce gets knocked down on the ground. Fortunately, that doesn't really matter too much, because he can just get back up again, which is always the tricky part of doing minor exploits like that. That's why Pocket Sand is so good. It's always going to be useful. It's never not useful. Well, I suppose sometimes it's not useful if the target doesn't have eyes. The eyes are the groin of the face. Bruce stands. He's sick of it. He finally lands a hit, but it's only for 2 damage, which isn't enough, because now it has 2 hit points left. But he landed a shot at the very least. He could attempt a minor exploit on this ooze, but again, I'm not really sure what he'd do. I don't think he can knock it prone or something. It's a big pile of shit. Alright, this is what he'll do. He's going to reposition it. He's going to try to reposition it just to give Bellany a clear shot. So he's going to try to, like, hold it with his spear and shift his body out of the way so she doesn't get a penalty. Because she would get a penalty in this position. So it's just going to be strength-based again. Alright, he failed. So he's... Yeah, he realizes that trying to reposition a pile of jelly is a little tricky. So Bellany's just going to take the shot. She has to roll 15 or above. She crit because she's a fucking girl boss, man. Holy shit. So yeah, she sends an arrow shredding right through the whole thing and it collapses. Whew. Alright, so this thing's 5 hit dice. Probably with just 1 star. Right? Maybe 2. I'd have to actually think about what it has and stuff. The Ochre Ooze has 2. I guess it has resistance to bludgeoning, and it has acid. And I didn't count... I have to roll for his spear. He's hit it once. So on a 1 here, he'll lose his spear. No, okay. But it does have that, so I'm giving it 2 asterisks, which means that it's going to be, wow, pretty hefty, man. 5 hit dice is worth a lot of XP for how easy it was. Maybe I should bump that down. It had a lot of hit points, but it did not have much killing potential. So I'm going to bump that XP down. We'll call it an even 150. It was theoretically pretty dangerous, but didn't turn out to be that bad. And we'll give a short rest. We lost some hit points. We used some resources. Bruce totally failed, because his will is not super good, but he really wants the hit points, so he'll spend a reroll. And he terrible failed again, so unless I want to use his other reroll, he's going to be sitting at 9 hit points. Fuck. I'm going to use his other reroll. My god, Bruce. What the fuck? He is simultaneously, like, an extremely good character and an extremely bad character. Entirely because of his dice rolls. I don't know how it happens. Okay, Bellany got a great success. She's going to recover her Ranger Craft. What the fuck, Bruce? What are we going to do with you? Alright, then we check out the sarcophagus, I guess. His grave goods are clay copies, but he has 2 20 gold pieces worth of rings embedded in him. If killed, he will regenerate in 1d 20 hours unless burned. If he is free, add him to the Wandering Monster table, replacing one of the Omen results. Okay, so we dig out the 20 gold pieces of rings. Not much, but a little bit. 20 gold, 20 XP. Alright, well, on to the next door. This is getting a bit painful. Not a bad idea to retreat after a certain point. Door number 18 is a stone door, but it's much more ornately carved than the others. He'll listen, but I'm not even going to bother rolling. You won't hear anything. And we're going to go down. Well, we open it, and we see stairs leading down. So the very ornate door carved with images of snakes raining from the sky, and stairs descend downwards into darkness. A faint cold wind blows up the stairs. Ooh, that seems pretty ominous. We'll tick down the lantern. I'm going to roll an oracle. Do we want to go down this way at this point or check the other doors? That was not a yes or no question. The question was, do we want to go down this way? And the answer is a vehement no. We're going to close that door right up. We'll go listen at the next one down. 15. Alright, not a great success, and that is another heavy stone door. This room was used by the priests of the upper tomb. It contains 3 beds, some rotten shelves, and a silver and emerald snake god icon worth 200 gold pieces. The scrolls scattered around the room record the ravings of trapped mummies in a forgotten language. One of them contains the true name, Baltoplot, of the succubus. Okay. So, well, obviously we're taking the silver and emerald snake god icon worth 200 gold. It goes well with my other snake icon. This is starting to get maybe a little bit much for one slot, so we'll make a new slot. What the hell is this called? Silver and emerald snake god icon. 200 gold pieces, baby. Boom. Yeah, a decent little pile of XP building. Remember, this number totaled has to equal 4,000 for us to level up. So we are still a ways off. And then there's also the ravings of trapped mummies in a forgotten language on scrolls. I mean, he'll look at them. Obviously, he can't read them. So probably, I don't know, will he take them? Yeah, he will. You never know, I suppose. Raving scrolls in unknown language. Okay, next door. He will roll his perception. Still can't hear anything. We go in. This room is empty except for some discarded carving tools rusting on the floor. It might make a nice bolt hole in an emergency or a place to stash supplies. That is true. It's not bad. I do think we'd search the room, though, so we'll tick that down. We have 2 hours left on the clock. Next is not a door, but a hallway, so we'll go down that way. A group of 18 clay statues of life-sized snake men warriors in 3 rows of 6. Their swords are rusted to uselessness. Each statue is hollow but contains nothing. The statue in the far south corner of the room sits on the trap door. 39 to 38. Okay. So we see, yeah, these 18 clay statues of snake men. I wish he had a hand axe or something to throw, but we'll have Bellany shoot one. And it crumbles apart. It's hollow. Nothing happens. None of the other snake men get up. So I'm tempted to have her shoot them all, but that's a little abusive considering I'm not keeping track of arrows. That's a little... At that point, the DM's like, all right, maybe we should keep track of arrows. So I guess Bruce is just going to go through and stab each one with his spear to be sure. He's very wary now. He's been injured quite a bit on this trip. So this is going to take time, 10 minutes. But I think in the process we will find this trapdoor, which is tempting because it's either down this trapdoor or down that very ominous staircase. So 39. Okay. So we're going down here. Here. Okay. It's sort of vague. Because it's a trap door, not a secret door. And this is the lower tomb, which sort of implies that it's underneath. But I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure, really. Just calls it a, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just trying to see. This chasm is the only other way that leads to the lower tomb. And it doesn't seem to state or imply at all that it's on a slope. So I think it's just called the lower tomb, but it's not actually like underneath. It's all horizontally on the same level. So this is called a trapdoor, but really it's a secret door. The only reason I question that logic is that it says the statue in the far south corner of the room sits on the trapdoor, which suggests it's in the floor. But then the illustration doesn't really seem to imply, unless the map is sort of an abstract, but I don't know. So we're just going to say that it was standing in front of the secret door. Okay, well, secret doors are good. We'll go through it. Short hallway. We'll listen to the other door. He doesn't hear shit, so he's just going to wander in. A huge stone chamber filled with broken pillars, 8 total in 2 rows along each side of the hall. The ceiling is lost in darkness. Bats roost up there. The floor is littered with broken statue pieces, including incredibly lifelike carved stone bats, spiders, and goblins. The basilisk lurks in the darkness. A thick iron chain links it to the ceiling. It cannot leave the hall. Okay. A fucking basilisk seems way too crazy. I did not know this existed in here. Jesus. He got a whole page to describe him. 7 hit dice monster. The basilisk is chained to the ceiling of Basilisk Hall. It can move around freely within the room but can't leave it. There are 8 mostly broken pillars in the hall. They provide cover and can slow the basilisk down if its chain gets wrapped around them. The basilisk can only see straight ahead, but it can smell very, very well. When the PCs first enter the hall, it will wait, sniffing the air and try to circle in the dark to get close to them. When it spots an isolated target, it will stare at them for 1 round and then charge. If the basilisk just glances at a creature, the only effect is a slight sensation of pressure. If it focuses on a creature for 1 round, the target's limbs become heavy, slow, and gray. Their thoughts move like treacle. They can save versus petrification to restore movement. If they fail, they are rooted in place and take a -4 penalty to defense. This effect ends immediately if the basilisk looks away. If the basilisk stares at a target for a 2nd round, they must save versus petrification or turn to stone. Okay, so it's wearing a visor. It can only stare at targets directly in front of it. It has a 20-foot range. More than 1 target can be affected, but they must be very close together. Test at the start of each round before initiative order is determined. The effect is not reflected by mirrors. Unless the basilisk is completely burned, dissolved in acid, or separated from stone, a random stone larger than a fist touching some part of the basilisk corpse has a 1 in 6 chance per year of becoming a basilisk egg and be hatching in 1d6 years. Okay. I don't think I really need to know that, but sure. So this one specifically is not trying to turn anything to stone, even though I thought that's what they eat is stone. Maybe I'm misremembering. It's just going to spot an isolated target, stare at them for 1 round, and then charge. Oh, it says it can maintain its stare during the charge. Oh, well then that it will turn people to stone. If hit, the target shatters and is devoured if made of stone. If made of flesh, it takes 1d8 plus 2 damage and is knocked prone. If the target was not aware the basilisk was in the room, they must save versus fear. Interesting. So that's his version of the basilisk. Let's go ahead and look at Axe. This is a petrifying basilisk. 15 AC, 6 plus 1 hit dice. Pretty nasty. They are resistant to mundane bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, which is something he notably doesn't include, because that's pretty nasty. He does give it a bit more hit dice, but not much. Yeah, so he doesn't include that aspect. Any creature that is bitten by it must make a paralysis saving throw. If failed, they're instantly petrified. In lieu of biting, it can direct its petrifying gaze in a cone in front of itself. Each creature within the cone must make a paralysis saving throw. If it's fail, you're instantly petrified. Alright, then I think for multiple reasons we can say the Serpent King one is a lot easier. Which is fair, because this is an insane thing to throw in a level 1 dungeon. Like, nobody's going to do that. Tales of Argosa basilisks, for comparison's sake. We almost will never use these, but they're here. 10 hit dice. Insane. That's 40 hit points. 16 AC. 2d8 bite damage, and it can gaze, far range, luck, con save, or petrified. Has 20 strength. Also pretty nasty. So I think we can agree this is the nicest version, even though it is also quite mean. But again, it's got the visor on, so only 1 at a time, and it's chained. So if we want to run, we can. And if it surprises us, there's a save versus fear. So we might actually morale check and get the fuck out of here. Which is what we should do, because it's a fucking basilisk. Alright, how do we want to run this then? It is sniffing the air and circling around in the darkness. So I am going to give us a perception check. Since we're playing with 2 characters, this is going to be individual checks. And I'm going to preset its stealth check pretty high because it's in the darkness. And it is... Well, I don't know. What does this give its dex? 10. Okay. Not super stealthy, but fairly stealthy. I'm going to set it at 6. So we have to succeed by 6 or more in order to tell that there is something on the ceiling above us that sounds kind of big. She stands the best chance. She did succeed by 10, so she does sense this. We'll see if Bruce is even paying attention. Not at all. So she says, Bruce, there's something big above us on the ceiling. Because it's also chained, so I imagine we can also hear sort of like a chain moving up there, which seems really odd. But yeah, there's some chained large creature sniffing the air above us. That's not good. I don't think we want to be anywhere where it can drop on us, whatever it is. So we are going to pretty quickly vacate this room in one direction or the other. We could go back the way we came. Not a bad plan, considering if this thing does drop down and it is like large and it's some like, you know, I don't know what, like a giant spider, like a, I don't know, 15-foot long spider. It's going to be blocking this path off, which means we'll be running or fleeing or whatever you want to call it into unknown territory. And we could very well be trapped between a rock and a hard place. If we go back the way we came, we know that we're going back into safety and we can evaluate from there or go a different direction. So we're just going to quickly back up through the secret passage and get the hell out of here. Yeah. That's why I like Tales of Argosa, though. I think it takes some heavy lifting off the DM for telegraphing. Perception check, success, you know, I can tell you information, you know. I don't have to sort of decide what the characters might know just by walking into a room, you know. And it's a sort of arbitrary DM decision of how to telegraph it, or how do I figure this out, how to telegraph. Succeed on a perception check versus stealth, done. You can tell there's something there. And then the ball is in the player's court. If they fail the perception check, I don't have to really tell you shit, and you know I don't have to tell you shit. That can be cruel then, because then that takes away from telegraphing and just punishes players for dice rolls. But Tales of Argosa, you know, has re-rolls. It's a roll under system. There are group checks often, you know, stuff like that. So it's not that mean of a system, despite that. And there are some things you still might want to telegraph if they're really deadly and just be like, or they would be obvious if you were just looking. All sorts of stuff. All right, so we back up. We either have to deal with whatever the fuck that thing is, which could be God knows what, or we go down the ominous staircase. I guess the ominous staircase is a bit more... Well, it's an unknown. The other room is sort of a known thing of we don't like it. The other one could be anything. Could lead to a big treasure room. I don't know. Would be handy to just have a few mules coming with us in here. Because then we just send a mule in to that room. The basilisk could just petrify it and charge it. And then we could ambush it. Fucking basilisk. That's so crazy. I can't believe that's in here. That seems like such a high-end thing. I've never fought a basilisk. Anyways. Actually, I was DMing once. It was a hex crawl, and I was rolling OSE random encounters. And it came up with a basilisk. Which is really unlikely. I think it was like under the forest unusual, or maybe it was the grassland unusual. Yeah, basilisk. Yeah. And the OSE basilisk is pretty mean, you know? 6 hit dice, 1d10 bite that also petrifies, or the gaze petrify. I think my mom's character did get petrified. Because she was just like standing there, and I think she shot an arrow at it or something, and it just, yep, roll versus petrify, or, you know, roll whatever. She failed, so luckily, I think we were playing Tales of Argosa, so they had party retreats, and they hightailed it out of there, and they dragged her out of there, and they went to town and had a priest restore her, and it was all fine. But yeah, that was a fun lesson. I stopped using OSE random encounters after that, because that just seemed like, what the fuck is a basilisk doing here? Wild world, I suppose. Alright, let's go down the ominous staircase of doom. The third stair from the top is slightly loose and has left very faint scratches on the walls. If any weight is put on it, the stairs tip to become a smooth stone ramp. Spikes deploy from the floor at the bottom of the ramp when the trap is activated. A PC sliding into the spikes takes D6 damage, save for half. Okay. Well, obviously, if I was DMing, I suppose... no, I don't know if I would telegraph that, because I feel like that just gives it away, so... that's what I'm saying. Like, some things are just hard to telegraph without just saying, like, yep, that's a danger, just avoid that. I guess you could. I mean, it's not the end of the world, but I think... I think if you said, like, hey, you notice that next to the third step down, there's some very faint scratches on the wall. I think most people would just, like, stop and look and see that it's slightly loose or something and just step over it or something. I don't know. I don't know. Hard to say. But this is where we have perception checks. Unfortunately, it's going to be stupid fucking Bruce. Seeing if he notices. No, he got a critical failure. He's got no rerolls. Or terrible failure. He got no rerolls. So he's going to step on it with all his bulky weight. Which means that we are all going to tip down. This is where Trixie is actually at risk. There is no way to avoid this. She was on the stair. Well, it's the third step down. I don't think actually anybody but Bruce was on the stairs. They don't hug his ass like that. I mean, they hug his ass later, but that's a whole separate discussion. So I think it's really just Bruce. He's sliding down. But basically, I'm picturing, yeah, like the whole staircase just goes like flat. All the stairs depress and sort of shift down to make it into a ramp. And then at the very bottom, at a diagonal angle, pointing upwards, is like a plate covered with spikes pointing directly at Bruce's body. Well, his feet, really, but still, it's pretty painful. So, the usual question, what do you do? I think I see two potential answers here. One would be that he tries to get his feet positioned so that he could maybe jump off of the ramp, depending on the angle and stuff. That could be tricky. And he would have to jump clean over the spikes, which would be not super simple. That's not really Bruce's style. We're going to do this Bruce style. So he's going to try to flip his body around and get his shield out front so that he slams into the spikes with his shield. Also, somewhat potentially risky. Because depending on how this goes, he could, like... a spike could go through, like, the shield and impale him in the eye socket or something if we roll like a critical fumble. But if he rolls well, he might just destroy the spikes, and that's the end of the discussion. I don't remember the material his shield was made out of. What did we roll for him? Temple Guard. It is a wooden shield. Okay, if it was a steel shield, I'd say it's going to be a hell of a lot easier, but this is wood on wood. So, hard to say. We do have the momentum, and I don't think it's super easy for wood to just go straight through other wood. If they're both, like, good quality. So I think he's just going to kind of break the plate and sort of smash it back down. I think there is still a potential for damage. But mainly, I'm just not sure what to have him roll. I could have him roll Constitution to just see if he can, like... No, we'll have him roll Strength. I think this is, like, a strength thing of if he can just barrel through this with momentum and just not buckle at all. I could see there being a separate roll, though, for the shield maintaining integrity. Which might just be a d20 roll of some kind. But let's have him roll strength to see if he maintains integrity. I'm just going to have it be a... we'll give him athletics for it. Sure. With strength. Great success. All right, yes. He sort of leans into it nice and good. Perfect angle, and he just smashes through. Does he lose his shield? I'm not going to let him take any damage from this regardless. But, and it could have been a luck strength save, I suppose. Perhaps it is a trap, so it should have maybe been a luck save. It would have been a luck save if he just fell into it. I guess, but I don't know why you would do that. But if he failed, I guess it would maybe be a luck save for half. Not if he terrible failed. There's a lot of considerations for shit like this. So it's going to be a question about the shield. I'm going to give it a 25% chance of splintering. So if he rolls 1 through 5, it's going to splinter. He did roll a 4, so he saved his bacon, but he lost his shield. It's gone. I'm deleting it. Down to 13 AC. He is now using the spear two-handed until he gets a replacement. He's broken the mechanism completely. And he enters into room 19, a large arena-like room completely covered in shields from tribe. He's like gone to heaven suddenly. He lost his shield and instantly surrounded by shields. Covered in shields from tribes conquered by the Snake Men. Some of the shields are rotted through, but at least 5 are still in usable condition. If laboriously scraped and disassembled, fragments of silver wire and gold leaf in the shields are worth 20 gold total. Right. In the very center of the room stands the Stone Cobra Guardian. It attacks on sight and cannot fit up the stairs. It's pretty big then, huh? Stats as an ogre in heavy armor. Appears as stone cobra-headed knight clad in carved armor. Wields a huge dented sword in one hand. Armor as plate, 6 hit dice. Each round, it can perform one of the following attack patterns. Calls to a shield attached to the wall of the arena. Shield deals d6 damage, save to dodge negates, to any creature between it and the Guardian. Guardian holds the shield in its empty hand, granting it +1 defense. Shield can be sundered as normal, reducing incoming damage by 1d12 and destroying the shield. I guess I do play with sundered shield rules. I just never do it, because I like to hold on to my shields. Can also leap into the air and slam down 5 to 20 feet away from its starting position. It will not land directly on creatures. But any adjacent creature takes 1d4 damage, save negates. Creatures that take damage are knocked prone. And Twin Slash. Swipe at 2 targets with its sword. They must be on the same facing. It must be adjacent. Roll attack separately, dealing 1d8 plus strength bonus damage on a hit. The room is designed for the players to flank the Guardian, flee, push into the chasm, or flee past it and hope it doesn't follow them. Okay, an ogre in plate armor. It sounds pretty terrifying. Let's go ahead and find an axe ogre. We fought one of these, right? But it's also giving it more hit. It's giving it 6 hit dice. So that means it has 27 hit points. I was surprised to see it didn't have any resistances despite being made of stone. But sure. And it has armor as plate. And they already have a +3 bonus to AC. Meaning that this thing is quite well protected. Yeah, most of them are equipped with fur. So technically it has a 13 base AC +6. That's 19 AC. This is not going to be easy. 19 AC with 27 hit points is not something I can really deal with. It's also a statue, so it's not... It has no alignment, so Aura of Sanctuary is not useful. Turning is useless. The snake's poison is useless because it's made of stone. This foe is beyond any of us. The problem is, by the time we realize that, we'll likely be dead. Because it swings for 1d8 plus strength bonus damage, which I imagine is quite a bit. If we go to Tales of Argosa, an ogre has 19 strength, which is +4. So 1d8 +4 damage means that he could fairly easily kill Bruce in one hit. This could be the death of us. Fortunately, Bruce is already pretty paranoid about dying, and this thing looks like it's going to decimate him in every way. The problem is, how the fuck do I get away from this? The real question, I guess, is the staircase. What causes it to revert to be normal again? Oh, 5 rounds. Well, that's not happening. So he immediately shouts for them to get down here. And he's going to try to, like, grab a shield off the wall and then run around and get out of there to the other side. He's not engaging with this thing. It's crazy. But he could be dead before he even has a chance. Initiative. Success. Thank God. Alright, so he's going to run. To, like, the northern wall here. And he's going to grab a shield off the wall. So he gets his shield back. And then the other two, of course, immediately slide down. So they're down in the room next to the staircase, and they see this shit. And yeah, the Stone Cobra is going to be doing one of those 3 things. I guess he'll draw a shield. Yeah, he'll draw a shield. So Bruce gets to save to dodge, which is going to be a luck dex roll. We'll make it an oracle roll, though. He succeeded, so probably because the shield that he just grabbed is, you know... Well, I like to justify it. Obviously, he rolled well, but I like to justify things. So, you know, the shield that was directly between the Guardian and him is the one he just grabbed, so he had to grab a different one to draw, and the angle wasn't perfect. Alright, and Bruce is shouting for them to run. So now we're going to roll a new initiative. Success again. Excellent. Technically, we could count this guy as a heavy, and I have to get a great success, but that's really damning on a level 1 party. I know this whole situation is meant to be damning, and we probably should have died like 4 times by now, but Tales of Argosa is pretty casual. So we're going to run. We're going to run, and it's going to chase us. It can leap and slam, but that is not as much as it can move normally. 5 to 20 feet is slow. That's not very far. We can run much farther. We can run like 60 feet per turn. And he can normally move, I guess if he's an ogre stats, he can normally move 30. So, yeah, he's not going to leap and slam. And as soon as we're out the other side... Except I think these are meant to be 10-foot squares. I don't know if he states that at any point, but... That's often the norm in OSR modules. Yeah, probably. This is not a 5-foot wide hallway, usually. But that makes this False King's Tomb really big. It's 40 feet wide by, like, 60 feet long. Or does it make more sense if it's 20 feet wide and... 15, 20, 35 feet long. That honestly sounds fairly sensible, so maybe it is 5 feet. You know what's a good solution, though, is to just put that on your fucking map. So I don't have to guess. Oh, wait, there was 2 pages about the basilisk? Jesus. It is the most dangerous thing in this entire dungeon, I imagine. Outside of maybe the Lich, but... even then, I'm not sure. Oh, he does does have... Okay, so the False King's Tomb is 40 by 70. Yes, that is correct, right. So they are 10-foot squares. Okay, well, no, at least it was somewhere. Where were we? Here. So that means this arena is 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 feet long. Okay. That means that basically the two of them, if they go around this way, they can get, let's see, 60 feet, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Yeah, they can get to like here, whereas Bruce gets to like out here, which isn't really good because that means that the thing's gonna target them. He's not gonna draw a shield because he already did that, so he's probably gonna leap and slam, and that's when things get really complicated. So it's not going to land directly on creatures, but any adjacent creatures take 1d4 damage, save negates. So Bellany is going to have to roll Luck Dex. Or Oracle roll. She succeeds, so she dodges out of the way and has no problem. Trixie, however. I could ignore her for this purpose. It is a big arena. She might not be attached to Bellany's hip. So she might not quite be adjacent where it gets to hit both. So it tried to just intercept and drop Bellany, but she dodged out of the way. So again, I don't want to target Trixie if I can ever help it. It's really just like big AoE stuff. Or like, yeah, if that staircase... If instead of the 3rd step down, it was like the 12th step down or something, I'd be like, okay, Trixie might have to be involved here. But even then, she'd be 3rd in the line. I don't think everybody would hit the spikes. I feel like Bruce hitting the spikes with his body would probably break them, right? Anyways, we are now going to have to roll another initiative, and we really hope Bruce succeeds here, because otherwise Bellany might be in trouble. He succeeds. Okay. Good. I think we can say Trixie is now safe. She's around the other side. She moves out of the way. And Bruce is obviously safe, but Bellany is adjacent to this thing, which means it's going to get an op when she moves out of to run away. So I think she's actually going to use Slip Away, so it has disadvantage on its attack roll. I didn't really ever want to use Slip Away because I want to save everything for Sharpshooter. But this is kind of life or death. She only has 10 hit points. Yeah. So it's going to get an op. And it gets... it's got 6 hit dice, so it gets plus 6 attack bonus. Which is pretty massive. It does have disadvantage. But it is what it is. Okay. Whew. It missed by 1. Jesus. Good thing I used that. How much damage would she have taken if I didn't use that? Okay, 7. She still would have survived, but she would have been in a much worse spot. So she narrowly avoids this giant stone sword swinging above her head. So she runs out of the way. They're all now running out of the way. The problem is that if they run to the north, the path dead ends. And it does follow them until it can no longer see them. So if they run to the north, they're basically dead. If they run south, however, they'll be able to go down to the lower tomb and... well... yeah, it just keeps going, I guess. It goes far enough that way that I think they'll lose sight of it, because that's like 100-some feet. And as soon as it loses sight in the darkness or whatever... although I don't know if its vision is based on light. Who knows? If this were an axe monster, it would tell us. I mean, if its stats are as an ogre, then it sees in the light, so fuck it. Right? Well, lightless vision 60 feet. Good enough. So it's really a matter of if we go north or south. We have no knowledge based on our characters, and if we were playing, we would have to just pick a direction. The DM would just say, okay, you're on this chasm. You're at this path next to this chasm, 10 feet wide. And it also says running or leaping will require a fairly easy save. Do you turn left or do you turn right? So, yeah, D2 left is 1. Of course. I mean, that's always how these things go, right? I don't know what else you would really base the information on. Your light only extends like 30 feet. So, your light extends to like here. You'd have no way of knowing that it dead ends. Now, technically, you could argue that it doesn't dead end right here because it just kind of fades off. So maybe it goes far enough that we could go. We'll ask the Oracle. Does it go far enough where we can ditch the stone statue? Yes, the Oracle was nice to us. Alright, so we keep running. We are going to roll our easy save. Easy save should be pretty easy then. Which... it shouldn't be an automatic success, though, because otherwise there'd be no point of rolling. So we're going to say luck dex +4. And this is an Oracle roll. Alright, great success for Bellany. Success for Bruce. And I suppose I do have to roll for Trixie. There is a chance she could go over the edge. Luck dex 4. She also succeeded. Alright, we all hold our footing. We run to the north until it dead ends, and then we hope that he doesn't follow. And sure enough, the footsteps stopped a little while ago, so we're okay. We'll catch our breath. No one took any damage from that, so it wasn't a significant combat. It certainly could have been. So now we're going to cautiously go back the way we came. And I think as we approach the corner here, we're going to have Trixie lower the... Actually, this should be... We're going to drop that twice. I haven't really been paying attention to that, I don't think, for a little while. As Trixie... we're going to tell Trixie to sort of close the lantern most of the way, so that only a little bit of light comes out so that we can actually still see our feet. Because we're assuming it's based on light that he sees us or something. And then we're just going to creep around this way and hope that he doesn't notice. He's facing this way, so I think we're okay. I think as long as we don't cross this threshold or anything like that, we should be fine. And then we're going to keep continuing south, and we come up to the lower tomb, although we don't know that. This level contains wandering monsters. They are attracted to noise, light, and heat. They won't move to the upper levels of the dungeon unless the Stone Cobra Guardian is defeated. Check every 30 minutes or whenever the PCs make a lot of noise. Okay. Recessed 5 feet into the wall and held closed by a heavy stone bar. Door is barred on the side facing the chasm. If approached from the other side, it cannot be opened without demolishing most of the door. It contains the same type of hammer trap as 5, door hammer trap, but the hammer sings away from the door rather than towards it. This makes it easier to dodge, but any hit PCs must save again or be flung into the chasm. Okay. So it's the same type of hammer trap. I don't know how we wouldn't... Well, I guess we'd recognize it then, and I suppose we'd do the same exact trick. Lessons. Traps repeat. Usually not, except for, like, random fucking pit traps that no one likes playing with. Unique traps never repeats, really, and isn't that by design? Because that's really lame, just like this is? Like, I don't know. I guess if you didn't figure out how to circumvent it the first time, maybe you won't the second. But I don't know. You're just gonna stand there and be like, all right, you three, you're the ones. You take the hammer, please. Get hit. I don't know. It doesn't seem complicated to circumvent this. So we'll do the same damn thing, I guess. Wrap the rope around the pegs. Bruce holds it down. We lift the bar off. We put the bar on the rope. We open the door. We put the bar back on the pegs, and we go under the bar through the doorway. It seems simple enough. We are now where I was worried about, because now the only way back is actually, and we don't know that those stairs will ever reset. So as far as we're concerned, we don't have a way out of this place unless we find that basilisk hall again, and we're going to be pretty wary of that. So this is really a shitty situation. We may have to come up with some solution of just like destroying the statue or getting it to fall down the chasm or something, which with a major exploit, theoretically possible, but it's a big boy, and Bruce is not like 18 strength or anything, so we'll see. But all right, we go through and we're in room 23. Used by the Snake Man priest to prepare and meditate, contains several low benches, ancient wall hangings, and a dry fountain. Goblins pried a gold statue from the fountain and hid it in room number 49. A few scraps of gold leaf worth 1 gold, and a primitive tool marks. Primitive tool marks are all that remain. Okay. Well, we're going to search this room, of course. Ticks down to 8. We don't find anything except the gold scraps. It's 10 gold. We probably should pocket that. Okay, fine. It's another 10 XP, I suppose. Alright, cautiously moving on. And we come to a intersection. Yes. With a hallway leading south and stairs leading up towards 31. I think the stairs leading up is a bit more promising, which implies then that we did go down. This was a trapdoor leading downwards. So there's that. But yeah, I guess we do want to go. So which also implies this was a slope downwards. But all right, we want to go back up, so we're going to go towards 31. 2 incredibly lifelike Snake Man statues stand in the bottom corners of this elaborately carved hall. The statues are much finer than any other carving in the tomb. They are, in fact, petrified snake men, placed here as punishment. If depetrified, they will fly into a murderous rage for 10 minutes, then slowly give in to despair. The statues are worth 500 gold each if sold in a major city, or 10 times more to a wizard who recognizes their nature. Yes. Now I said that the adventuring proficiency, as Axe calls it. I said that for that, I generally state to players what things are valuable, what things would be recognized as treasure. Would I tell them that these statues are valuable? Yeah, I suppose so. Otherwise, I don't know why you ever really would compared to any other statue. And they specifically call these out as being valuable compared to all the other statues we saw, which means that they have some sort of value to people compared to other statues, and thus adventurers can recognize that. Like, that's just something I think is fair and not, because otherwise I don't know why you'd ever think this is worth anything, in which case why even mention it in the module. So would I say that specifically they're worth 500 gold? Probably, but that's just because I generally tell players the exact value of treasure when they find it anyways. So like if they found that disc, I would say yeah, it's worth 100 gold. That's mainly just for ease of play, so I don't have to... There's just no ambiguity. Players know what things are worth. That's not necessarily what you can sell it for or anything, but that is the value. That's the XP value, so on and so forth. And then they don't have a pile of loot later, like 3 sessions later when they're in the town, and they're like, oh, I have this snake icon, or I have these gold scraps. What's this worth to you? I want to sell these. And it's like, oh, okay, let me remember that from like 8 sessions ago. No, it's just like, okay, I have these gold scraps. They're worth 10 gold. What can I get for them? It just saves so much time and effort. So I guess I would say... I wouldn't mention the fact that we're 10 times more, because that would imply that they don't know they're petrified snake men. They would have to maybe do a roll or something to investigate them. But I would probably say, yeah, these statues are worth 500 gold. Getting them out of the dungeon, though, very difficult. I don't know what a human-sized statue made of stone would weigh, but I would imagine quite a lot. Actually, let's ask ChatGPT. What would a human-sized statue made of... I don't know. Let's go with limestone. I don't... pick a stone. Somewhere between 260 and 440 pounds. All right. They're snake men. I don't know if that means they're bigger or smaller. Let's go to lizard folk, I guess. Lizard man. 25 stone. They are bigger. All right, we'll put them at 400 pounds then. Probably maybe even bigger than maybe 500 pounds, really. 500-pound thing. That's 50 stone. So 50 slots of stuff. Basically, if you had a cart, you could put it on the cart and nothing else. And then the mule could pull it normally. That would be for one of them. Value by weight, not exceptionally good. But 500 gold is 500 gold. $5 is $5, right? As it is, even though we recognize that they're worth 500 gold, we're not getting those things out of here. Maybe if we clear out the dungeon completely, we'll come back, but that almost never happens. All right, we have also an open area here that we see, and this here. This is a trapped hallway. We'll get to that. This we can obviously look into. An alcove containing a shrine to one of the many cobra-headed gods of the snake men. The statue has 2 holes in the base large enough to fit a human arm. Oh, that's... I've seen The Mummy Returns, man. The statue can't be lifted, but it rattles and it can be turned easily. Almost any effort, inspection, or action will turn it slightly. Turning it counterclockwise 90 degrees will release poison gas. Turning it clockwise 90 degrees will cause a lot of gold to spill out, rolling onto the floor. Some pieces will roll into room 35, the trapped hallway. Okay. We also have a door here. The door is complicated, as I read here. It contains a bound succubus, who appears as a young botanist in an ankle shackle of an amenable gender. I think you can already see where this is going for poor Bruce, and I feel like we have to do this because I've built it up so much. We have to create the love... Well, it's not even a love triangle, really. It's a love square of Trixie, Bellany, Bruce, and this new fetching maiden that we find trapped in this dark, dangerous dungeon. At the same time, Bruce is not an idiot, as we say. He has a 14 intelligence, paradoxically. I feel like he would raise some questions as to how she got here, considering how, like, sealed off this place was, and the entrance was only revealed through a fucking landslide. That is extremely suspicious, and I feel like most players would just, like, put an arrow through her neck, immediately. But Bruce does have a weakness, and that is the poontangs. So he might be a little clouded in his judgment. We'll see. We also, it's the question of will we even go for the door, considering that we're just trying to get the fuck out of here. We can see this giant statue here. Well, I don't know if it's giant. It's not a giant set. It's a statue big enough to have 2 arm-sized holes in the base. I think we would probably not touch that. We're not interested in trying. We're trying to get out of here so we can maybe rest and recover and come back another day. So we see an open hallway in front of us that keeps going in that direction. So I think that probably is more tempting to us compared to a door here. Right. So let's roll an oracle roll. Will we open the door or go for the door? And I'm going to put it at disadvantage. I think it's unlikely. All right, we rolled a 1. So we're not interested. We see the hallway. We're going down the fucking hallway. Now, unfortunately, the hallway is trapped. The ceiling is ridged like the gullet of a snake. Bands of tiles wind across 2 10-foot squares. Stepping on any of the raised tiles will activate 4 swinging blades that slice down from the ceiling. PCs must save to dodge or take 1d6 damage. Any movement through the 2 10-foot squares requires another save to dodge for 3 rounds after the trap activates. PCs who stand still don't take any damage. If a PC fails their save, they take 1d6 damage and don't move that round. On the 4th round, the entire trap comes crashing down in a tangle of stone blades and springs, dealing 2d6 damage to anyone in the 2 10-foot squares. Okay. I feel like if I explained this, people are immediately going to be suspect, right? So this one might be a bit more of not is there a trap, but how do we circumvent the trap? The ceiling is ridged like the gullet of a snake. Okay. I mean, that's sort of weird, but yeah. And then bands of tiles wind across 2 10-foot squares. Okay, so it's like a serpentine pattern of different colored tiles or something like that. It's not super clearly defined. Then it says stepping on any of the raised tiles will activate 4 swinging blades, which implies that, you know, it's like some are raised and some are not, and you could just not step on. I'm not really sure what to do with this one. This one's really weird. How do you run the blade trap hallway? See, like this is one of the most, if not the most, discussed modern modules for OSR. Like, this is always brought up when talking about OSR modules. My issue is that, per my understanding, this trap seems completely trivial to both detect and avoid. Thank you, yes. Here's how I imagine playing it out of the table. The ceiling here is ridged like the gullet of a snake. I inspect the floors and walls for anything out of place. Sure enough, there are bands of raised tiles running across the floor throughout the hallway. Okay, I proceed through the hallway, careful not to step on any of the raised tiles. Okay, you make it through safely. Yep, that's exactly what I picture. I think you hit the nail on the head. The lesson here is that careful observation and asking questions about the environment may earn the PCs the right to proceed without harm. Yeah, and it's like, that seems like a tactic the party would already have to be familiar with to have made it this far. It's certainly a tad rudimentary for the group I'm playing with. Yeah, I suppose. It's one of the easier lessons, I suppose, to learn. It's not a lesson taught through pain, I guess. Because I really think it's very unlikely anyone's going to trigger this based on how it's described. Some people said maybe put like a goblin at the other end, threatening to trigger the trap while they're in it. That could be fun. Goblin bursts around the corner as they're walking across, and he hovers his foot over one of the raised tiles. That would honestly be pretty fun. That guy's got the right idea. That reveals suddenly that there's goblins down here. They're assholes, and force this sort of situation of like, oh shit. You know, do we negotiate with this thing? Do we try to quickly snipe him before he can step down on it? Do we just run off very quickly, knowing that he's going to step on it? Yeah, that's kind of interesting. I like that. Let's say that's what happens. So we obviously to see the trap is like, oh, okay, no problem. And we start walking across. It's 20 feet, you know. So we start walking across. We're halfway across. Suddenly a little goblin bursts around the corner. And as we sort of raise our weapons, he hovers his foot over one of the raised tiles on the far end. Well, Bruce does have charisma. Everyone likes him. Yeah. So he should be able to talk his way out of this, right? So he's like, you know, he's lowering his weapon. He says, you know, he hopes that it speaks common. I think often in the OSR, goblins don't speak common. And if we were to go to the Axe manual, probably does not state they speak common, but maybe. Does it even mention languages here? No, it does not. Oh, it does under Beastmen, doesn't it? They speak a number of distinct languages, each of which is a barely recognizable dialect of ancient Zaharan. A Beastman warrior has a 10% chance of speaking common. Champion, chief, shaman, sub-chieftain, and witch doctor, 10% chance per hit dice of speaking common. Alright, so he's got a 1 in 10 chance of understanding. Alright, he doesn't. So Bruce is just sort of speaking calmly. And it's clear the goblin does not understand. He's just kind of grinning and, you know, he's wiggling his toes above the thing and teasing the tile. So it's clearly not breaking through. So we're going to have to probably bribe him or shoot him. And I think Bellany is like, come on, Bruce. Let me just pop him in the head. It'll be quick. I can do it. Bruce is a little wary of this plan, but he agrees that it's probably their best bet. Either that or bum rushing. He wants to do a countdown, but he feels like the goblin will probably recognize a countdown. Because he wants to run as soon as Bellany shoots. Yeah, I don't know how you'd coordinate a countdown. So he's not going to do a countdown. He just says that when he says now, you know, do it. So this is going to be a rarely used thing. I don't do this often because we don't come down to this like trigger finger sort of thing. But it actually mentions this in the like how to play section. Where this guy wants to throw a spear as soon as he sees the humanoids. And the DM makes him roll an initiative to see if he reacts fast enough before they disappear. So yeah, rather than dexterity, there's going to be an initiative check for Bellany to see if she can fire before he presses down. Okay, good. So she can shoot before he presses down, but she has to hit him. Not necessarily kill him, but I would say that's probably what we're hoping for. It's a goblin, so we're talking about, what, like, yeah, 13 AC. They are pretty well armored, I guess. Although that's usually because they have shields, so we'll say 12. She's been rolling real well all night. This one's kind of important. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing I can really apply. I could have maybe had her send Writhe to sort of sneak around and slither along the wall or something where maybe you wouldn't notice. But that might be a riskier plan. So here we go. She did hit and she did kill, baby. Bellany doesn't miss. Bellany doesn't miss. What a fucking boss bitch. I love Bellany. So Bruce ran like a little pansy towards the goblin as soon as he said now, and she fired. But by the time he got there, the goblin's dead on the ground. And we're all good. But I will say, that was a big improvement. That guy knew what the fuck he was talking about. Give that guy a medal. That was fun. I would definitely do that if I was going to run this. Yeesh, that was tense. Oh, that was a really worrying dice roll, but we did it. Okay. We do get XP for that, but it's 5 XP. I guess I'll add it, because why not? Okay. Jeez. Alright, we're on the other side. So now we see this area here, but we enter into room 36. Partially rotted wall hangings lie on the floor, which is carved into geometric stonework patterns. Anyone pressed against the west wall cannot be seen by the basilisk. The hallway slopes down to 37 pit trap. Well, we're not going to be going down. Let me just tick down the lantern again. We also see this rest area used by the Snake Man priest to rest and meditate. The door rotted away centuries ago. It contains 5 blood-stained silk pillows, rotten and shredded, and 3 stone eggs. The eggs are magical. If coated in fresh mammalian blood, the eggs grow comfortably warm to the touch and can be used as hot water bottles. A single coating keeps an egg warm for 8 hours. They can be wiped clean after the first application. Lessons. Magical items may have a mundane purpose. Yeah. So we just see blood-stained pillows and 3 stone eggs, and I think that's probably pretty wary. We're not gonna go after those. And then, of course, in front of us, we see this, the big room, which we recognize. So we know something is up there on the ceiling. We have 2 options. We just sprint for the secret door and hightail it out of here, or we sneak. I don't trust Trixie to sneak out of... I don't trust her to sneak her way out of a paper bag, really. So I think we're bolting, and we just hope that it doesn't act quick. Assuming it doesn't know that we're here, it's not super far. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. We can get there in 1 round. I don't think there's much chance for the basilisks to catch us and stop us. Yeah, because it says that his gaze only has a 20-foot range. Yeah, 20-foot range. And the ceiling has to be higher than that, otherwise we would see him with our light. So he can't gaze at us from up on the ceiling. He's not necessarily on the ceiling, but I have to assume he still is, because why would he come down? And that's where he stays in hopes that he can grab something. So yeah, I think there's not much risk to us as long as we sprint. Sneaking, however, would entail rolls and risks, so why do it? So we run, we sprint for the trapdoor, we burst up there, we get back out. Technically, I suppose there might have been a random encounter roll before we did that. Yeah, we could, but I need to end this video, so we'll sprint out of there. And we go back up top. We're back in the atrium with the pool. We go back up into the false tomb, up through there, back past the skeletons, duck under the bar, back in the entrance, we see daylight, and we are out of there. Okay. This isn't a hex crawl or anything, so I'm not worrying about our trip back to town. We just go back to town. This probably went down to 6. So we do have 1 hour of oil left for our lantern. And we make it back to town. So we collect our XP. 25 plus 39. Mm. 776, 388 for both. Boy, we are quite a ways from level 2, and this was a lengthy video. Oh, it doesn't bode well for us hitting 2. There's really not a lot of treasure in this place. What's like the big treasure we might get? I mean, I multiplied it by 10. Well, here, the Crown of the Serpent Kings is worth 3,000. That'll do it. That'll do it. That would be good if we can get that. Something there worth 500. The throne is worth 2,500, but it requires at least 3 people to lift. That sounds tricky. Powdered saffron worth 2,000 gold. Okay, so there is some bigger treasure down there. We're just getting the scraps on the upper levels. So we'll have to get down there. But yeah, now when we come back, there'll be the giant stone thing we have to go through, or what the horrible creature that we don't know really what it is in that big hall. But we do know that we might be able to just sprint to safety before it can grab us. It worked once, so hopefully it works again. The basilisk might not let it work again, but we'll see. It might have known we were coming. I mean, we have a light, so it's very possible. If I were the DM, I would probably have it maybe be ready for when we come back. But we'll see. All right. Yeah, we'll take care of shopping next time, buy some stuff. Again, we can't really hold a whole lot. But we might buy a... maybe we'll buy like a chicken or something to send it into that room, just so we can see what the creature is and maybe ambush it. How much would a chicken cost? A silver. Yeah, fuck it. We're buying a chicken for that purpose. Hell yeah, we are. Alright, that sounds good. My name is Mang. This has been Solo Roll Manging. I'll see you fine folks in the next part.